Right, let's get going here. So, lot of stuff going on in the personal life lately. Normally, if you're new to the channel, what I like to do is I like to do a AMA, try to provide any mentoring, any help that I can along the way. I know I didn't get too much help when I was starting to study, and I wish there was somebody I could turn to ask questions. So for every 1,000 subscribers that I gain, I like to take a moment to say thank you. We're not actually, we're about 150 away, but I wanted to talk today, and so that's why we're doing a little bit early. There's a lot going on in my mind, and I need to get it straight, as well as do our 1,000 subscriber AMA and just kind of talk. And sometimes it helps in life to air things out, spread your thoughts. Nothing good, nothing bad, mainly good things. But I find my mind rattled at times by these things. So thank you to the 850 or soon to be 1,000, hopefully, new members. We do these live streams every 1,000 so that we can say thank you, answer questions, all that sort of stuff. This one's going to be done a little bit earlier, and I'm going to be talking about a few things if there's not too many questions. I'm going to be talking about money. I'm going to be talking about college, going back to college specifically, and React's Nanodegree at Udacity and my thoughts on it and why I'm enrolling in it on top of that. So let me bring up the chat so I can see if there's any questions real quick before I start rambling here. But so for those of you who don't know, I'm a self-taught developer who dropped out of my computer science program about 1.5 years ago, with the intention of one day going back after I got some experience as a developer. When I made that choice, my father at that time was gracious enough to be paying for my education. I didn't have any debt, so when I left, I had no debt. In a practical sense, I think if I did have debt, I probably would have been too scared to leave. Like I had too much skin in the game, even though I was super miserable. But I told myself that if I quit, I can't go back until I can afford it. I'm in a position now where I could afford enrolling into a CS program where I don't have to take out any debt. I can pay it straight cash, which is great, right? It probably cost me, the program I'm looking at is specifically designed for a online computer science bachelor's for people exactly like me who it's a continuation program where if you have previous CS credits, you can graduate in as little as 18 months, and I think I'd probably be that. It would cost me somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000 for the 1.5 years if I did that. But I'm not really sold on it. Not necessarily that the program's bad, just about going back to school, and this is where my inner fears come into play, because I don't think I need to do it. This is this thing. I don't think I need to do it. I think I'm scared of being in a situation in which let's just lay out all the facts. Of course, on paper, guys, you having a CS degree is better than you not having a CS degree, right? Like I think we can all agree to that if we're not talking about a time commitment, if we're not talking about a money commitment, that you having a degree of any kind is better than not having one. So the situation becomes, well, what is it taking away from me? I'm not worried about the $12,000 to $15,000, and I'm not worried about that money. It would be something like $800 a month. April and I have been blessed that we have kept our bills down. I have no debt except my car payment, which is about $2,000. All the debt I have on me is to build credit. I don't like the idea of taking out debt. I never have. So what are the alternatives? Because the reason, let's talk about the reasoning for me going back to finish out my degree. At one time, because it's been on my mind ever since I stopped going, even though I was on the path, I was executing my goal, which was at that time to work myself into a full stack role, which I have, and things are going very well. And so what has changed? My understanding of why I want to go back has changed. Originally my thought process about myself, and you learn this as you get a little bit older, and you reflect more. And I think it's part of being an introvert. Maybe you overanalyze things, but I don't think I'm overanalyzing. I've always felt that I've had a very good understanding of who I am in the last 2 or 3 years and what makes me tick. And analyzing for the last 18 months since I stopped going, why I wanted to go back. Originally, I thought it was I had a chip on my shoulder. And I thought, okay, I need to prove to myself that I can do this and that I can finish things and that I'm a finisher, essentially. And I slowly realized that that isn't it. Like, I know I could finish this program, and I know that I could. I'm not somebody that gives up. I think there's something innately, especially on YouTube as well, when you've committed, because YouTube's been a 2-year passion project. And so to me, that has proven to me, what more than anything else, that, okay, I can commit to something. And David Yang says, what about working at a local university and pursuing the CS degree at the same time? That is another option that is leading me towards not going back as well, is why am I going to pay for it? And this may sound a little strange if you're, if you're just breaking into the industry or you're just breaking into a professional environment, but why am I going to pay for it when in reality there's a solid chance that maybe a future employer, because the education benefits would not cover what I need to at my current work, but there's a solid chance that my next employer, whenever that may be, could pay for it and would pay for it. And typically, if you're unfamiliar with that, usually they'll pay for a certain portion as long as you pass your classes. And it's usually, hey, while we're paying for it, we expect you to stay for 1 year past whenever we paid for your last course, right? So if they paid the $12,000 that I want them to pay, and I graduate in 18 months, essentially they have me for that 18 months plus another 12, which is fine. I would totally be happy with that. I don't need to jump around and whatnot. So there's that in the back of my mind. And that is the path that I am leaning towards many months from now, is I'm going to get an employer to pay for my education and not pay for it myself, which solves the money aspect, but the time as well. So there's 3 things that I'm worried about and that I think about when I'm analyzing this situation. One is the money. I'm not too worried about the money. Yes, it would definitely be, $15,000 out of my pocket is not what I would prefer to do. I save my money. I save about 50% of my money right now from my check. 17 goes into a savings account. 33% goes into investments. That money is there for when I need it. Maybe I lose my job. Maybe I buy a house. Those are the things that I am thinking about. Not necessarily losing my job, but you know what I mean, about having a nest egg in case something bad happens in life. And if nothing bad happens and I happen to have that money, purchasing a home. Those are the things that I save my money for. That would become less likely. I would be saving, instead of being able to save 50% of my income, I would probably be able to save 15% of my income, which is still a solid amount, but nowhere near the same amount. So now home purchases are on hold and savings are on hold. So there's the money aspect. The time aspect, nothing changes with the time whether I go now or later. So we'll call that a wash for now. The only benefit to time is I can reap benefits from it while enrolled and while I am actively, while I graduate. So you're saying, well, how can you reap benefits? How can you reap benefits while enrolled? Well, there is something to be said to being a working individual who has drive and is actively working towards a degree. I would beg to argue that me applying as I'm pursuing my degree is more valuable than me not doing it at all. That would be my argument there. But the final part of it is it doesn't solve, by me not going back to school and holding on to the issue of me being worried. Why am I worried? Well, I am worried because that is how I am built to a degree. I am worried because I do understand that it is harder to get a job without a degree. And I do understand that there are certain employers that will look down upon my resume and, in effect, me if I don't have such a thing. I understand that. I've never argued that that's not the case. What I've argued is that that doesn't mean it's impossible and that it's just a harder path, and I've accepted that, and I'm okay with that to a degree. I'm okay with it in the sense of I'm aware of it, and I've accepted that I've put myself in that position. So how do I make sure that I'm not in that position? Well, I guess the first thing that I could do is I could expand my skill set, which brings me up to my next point, which is if you guys have been following the live streams, I've been studying React and Angular 4. And real quick, Zuel says, because this is an AMA, what do you think about learning algorithms with Java? By the way, I finished all 3 free code camp certificates. I think if you finish all 3 free code camp certificates, you should be learning whatever you're working in, or you should go get a job if you're not working, because you're definitely ready, as far as I'm concerned. So that's my thoughts on going back to school. Now, so what do I do? What do I do? Because we've talked about the money, we've talked about the time, we've talked about the pros and the cons of actually going back to school, and my decision to delay it. Now, the main thing is, how do I future-proof myself so that even though I have put things on hold with the degree, I'm still very concerned about myself making good money. And from there, I am now learning React or Angular 4. And I'm thinking about enrolling into the recent released React.js program on Udacity to supplement that. So why specifically React? Well, it's the fastest growing and one of the highest paying front-end frameworks that is around. Having spent the last 2 or 3 weeks bouncing back between React and Angular 4, and React and Angular 4, React and Angular 4, and I think I'm leaning towards React, and I've been going back and forth, in all honesty. So how do I get rid of this knee-jerk, nasty feeling of I just don't want to be fucked in life? That's really all it is. I don't want to be fucked in life. I want to always be in a position in which the train keeps moving. And in the short term, that is learn React, which is why I plan on enrolling in the Udacity React Nanodegree program. Now, I could get a course, and I could do that route, But I've decided to try and by the way, this program is about $500 and lasts 4 months. You cover React, React and Redux, and React Native all in the course. It's about a 12-hour-a-week commitment. So that's a rundown of the course, and you build a couple projects in it. Do I think the certificate is going to be worth of some value? Yes and no. I think it's a conversation starter. I think your projects and it being on your resume, as well as with my own developer experience, will be what will get people interested. Hey, buddy. But I do think there's some benefit to that. Now, here you go, buddy. And get a degree from an actual university and work at a Big Four company and won't feel like you're fucked. I have very little interest of actually getting a degree to learn anything. And I would argue that the actual practical skills that I need, I will get. This is the argument that I would make to Adrian right now, who's saying get an actual degree and work at a Big Four company. That's a very practical thing of advice, but I like to take educated risks. And the reason that I would get turned away from a lot of jobs, and I say this as somebody who recruiter sends jobs to all the time, is not because I don't have a degree. It's because I don't have years of experience, and I'm not working with necessarily with the latest technologies because of where I'm at. And so that's where the React is coming in. But that is the decision that I have made, of which I will be learning React over the next 4 months, and then I will decide what I'm going to do. Last time I asked your chat wasn't working. Learn from home or internship? I would say internship is probably your best bet. Get that resume experience. I'm still in high school, can't legally. Do you think I should do competitive programming, data structure, algorithms, or do free code camp nonprofit? I think if you do free code camp nonprofit, you can put that down as experience. What about checking certification classes offered at community colleges? I really am not too interested in. As someone who's been in the computer science program up until their junior year, I could tell you that from a practical standpoint, I don't think I will get a lot out of it. I get a check mark on the resume showcasing it. Yes. This is the thing. I could tell you 100% that if I had a degree in the most bullshit thing on the planet, the most bullshit, underwater basket weaving, legit underwater basket weaving, I would not even consider going back to school. It doesn't matter what I would have a degree in. And because I know that, it makes me skeptical about going back. Do I have a rival, a coding rival? No, I don't think so. If I have a rival, it's probably with my own insecurities in life, just trying to beat them. I don't know if that's too deep or too shallow, but that would be what it is. And one of the reasons that I'm skeptical about going back is that, and I mentioned this, that the reason is I need more years of experience in a work environment, and I need React is what I think I need to kind of push me to that next pay level. So I'm bringing this up because this is what's on my mind. But I want to make this statement, not out of a sense of cockiness, but not out of a sense of, hey, look at me executing a game plan, but out of a sense of, this is what's concerning me. these are the actions I'm going to take, and within 6 months to a year from now, see the results of those actions pay off. That's why that is the point of the last 20 minutes of conversation, is thinking through your options, thinking about your reasons for doing either option, understanding yourself, and making a plan that you plan to execute to be where you want to be. Don't just hope it's going to happen, but hope. What I want in the next year, so I want to make $30,000 more. That's what I want to happen. And I'm going to do that. And when I do that, I will hopefully have a school. Let's just think. I want between $10,000 to $30,000 more a year, and I want a company, if it's 10, to pay for my education. That's what I want to happen. That is the ultimate game plan. And I can tell by the like to dislike ratio, because it's 4 likes to 3 dislikes, that perhaps people don't like what I'm saying, and that's okay. I don't have any issue with that. Perhaps they are in a, isn't back end more lucrative? Full stack is the most lucrative, but I'm more worried about the front end skills, because my front end skills are in legacy code, essentially, which is AngularJS. So, and as I say that, we get a couple likes, so fuck those guys. But to the 3 people who disliked what I'm talking about, let me explain to you guys, because I want to explain that I don't consider one better than the other necessarily. I consider what's best for me. And what's best for me is to execute a plan based off of what I know to be true in my situation. And as I mentioned, it's the years of experience, and it's how do you determine which skills will give you a raise? For sure, you do a little bit of research on it. I think if you were to look up what skills are most in demand and what languages are growing the fastest, you would see in terms of front-end development, it's React. And having talked to recruiters on a weekly basis and getting asked by recruiters on a weekly basis, that is the one skill they keep asking me to have. So that is the skill I want to bring up. I've never been asked about a degree. I shouldn't say never. I typically don't. But it's all about the skill set and the experience. So I could definitely go down the self-taught route of teaching myself React, React Redux, React Native. But I for a while have been wanting to try one of the Udacity Nanodegree programs. And $500 isn't that much to somebody who's already working, right? I get if you are just breaking into the field and are trying to get going, you don't have the money. I 100% understand that. You need free courses or $5 or $10 courses. But luckily enough, I can test out a program for $500, and it's not a huge deal. Have I talked to programs who work at the position that you desire? Yes, I have talked to numerous React developers, and I have an idea of what they make, as well as if they enjoy working with React. So, and I like Node better, for the record. Go to Dev Mountain? I don't need to go to Dev Mountain. I'm going to spend $500 on the React course, unless they decide they want to give it to a brother for free who sent an email about it, but I don't think they're going to say yes, because they haven't in the past. But I will be doing the Udacity. I'm going to give them a few days to respond. But Zuel, I do feel scared for the future because I don't have a degree, and for the reasons I've mentioned. But I think I can prove my worth with the skill set and experience without having to have that degree. But I do plan on going back because it does scare me, right? So I am worried about it. You know, and my current game plan is to get my income up, get somebody to pay for it, and then I'll go back and do it. If somebody wants to pay for it, I'll put in the time. I can't say no then, right? How do you deal with algorithms? I suck at it. You just keep on pounding away at it every day, man. That's it. You just pound away at it. Now, I tend to agree with Eisenberg here, who says, or Eastbishin. I don't know why I said Eisenberg. We'll say Eisenberg. I like Eisenberg better. It sucks society categorizes you as college educated or high school. Yes, I think, but I think software is one of the unique fields in which you can prove your worth without a CS degree. And if you look at the job apps, a lot of them say or experience equivalent or equivalent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of people are looking to just get somebody in there with qualified skills and can do the job. What tools do you use for testing? I do a lot of front-end testing, although we're starting to implement back-end testing as well. But we typically use Jasmine and Karma for the front end. And that's for unit tests. For end-to-end testing, we use Protractor. And we're getting started with our PHP test soon as well. So, but I have been going back and forth on this for a while now, and what I've learned is that at some point, and for a while, I mean like 2 weeks. And what I've learned is that I think I got through the hard part. The hard part for a degree, this is what I'm trying to say, is I think I got through that part where the hard part was getting my foot in the door into the industry. And that would have been what the degree would have done for me. But I did that on my own. Now it's just, it can get me added benefits. How long will the degree route take? 18 months, roughly. I'm actually, so as I say this, I plan on enrolling in the, I plan on enrolling into the Udacity React Nanodegree program that starts on July 25th. But I'm also starting the enrollment process to figure out exactly that. How much is it going to be and how much is it going to cost? And I may be doing, I may start at the end of the 4 months in which the Nanodegree finishes. I'm going back and forth, but I'm going to get it set up at which point that 4 months from now, it is an option for me to get going if I choose to do so. But that is where my mind is at. That is where my concerns are. That is where my stress is. And part of the reason I'm doing that as well, and this might sound kind of strange, is my blood pressure has gotten pretty high lately. And not super high. It's like pre-hypertension, and I need to get the things off my mind that bother me, as well as change my diet and exercise patterns. It's about 140, which is about 40 more than my girlfriend's. So I need to somewhere between 136 and 140, depending on when I do it, which isn't great. It's not super bad. and I don't necessarily think it's the food related. I do think I do need to eat better, and I have started that, and I'm getting rid of of certain things. Like I've been so for about 9 months now. I've been eating pizza every day at work. So David Yang asked, how long will I work for the company if they pay for my school? It depends on the company, but from what I've seen, rather, it's about a year since they pay. Usually a year longer than when they pay. So I am going. Say it takes me 18 months. It would be a year past that. So I'd have to work for a company for 2.5 years for 30 months, which isn't a super long amount of time. But on a side note, because I am doing the React Nanodegree program, I'll have some React tutorials coming up in the near couple months. Oh, man. Please try to run every day. I have been, so last week I started exercising with April a little bit more, and now I'm jogging. What's your end goal? Money, early retirement? My end goal, David, is to eventually gain $50,000 in residual income. That is what I want out of. Once I have my $50K a year in residual income and very low bills, I will start my own project or start my own company. To give you an idea of where I'm at right now, I'm at about 10. That's a year, and that's YouTube. I count YouTube as residual income and a few investments, but 90% of that is YouTube. My short-term goals in the next 5 years is to get into the 6-figure category. Ideally, I want that to happen in the next 2 years, which would require about a 30K bump, which I think is plausible. I want to purchase a home, and I want to continue growing YouTube. That's really my next goals over the few years. And there's sub goals for that, such as learning React and its various libraries, getting a degree, and going down that path. And Adrian Battlestone says, if you know what you knew now, what would you tell your 19-year-old self? I am 29 years old, guys. 29, I will be 30 in October, in about 5 months. So if I was 19, which I'm guessing you're 19, because that's a very specific number, maybe not so much if you would have said 18, I would have told myself to, well, assuming I don't know the future other than what in terms is my life, I am going to tell myself to do what I know I should do and not to listen to my parents. That would be go down a self-taught route, stop wasting time in school, stop working stupid jobs, and to teach myself everything I needed to know and get the value out of it and save myself time, energy, and money with college. That would be what I would tell my 19-year-old self. No one ever told me that. Zuel says, by the way, what do you think about the Engineering Truth channel stagnating so hard? Why do you say it's stagnating? How is school a waste of time if you can get a CS degree in 3 to 4 years? Well, most people can't get a CS degree in 3 years. But I would say it's a waste of time because you don't learn any practical skills. And the amount of money and time that you would spend in those 3-4 years, you can do so much more on your own. That would be the argument I would tell myself. And part of that, it's not saying that it's a waste of time for everybody. I think that's where the dislikes come from, is that everybody is different. It's a waste of time for me because I don't need it. Like it helped. Like it's not an environment I thrive in. I thrive in I'm going to do shit my way, and I'm going to go down the self-taught route, and I like learning things that are much more practical, things I'm actually gonna use. So that's the route I thrive down. How long did it take you to get your first job? That's an interesting question because I've talked about this before. My previous job, I worked at a software company that made student information system software, and I was working as a technical writer there, or technology trainer, and my game plan was to become a developer there, but it didn't look like it was going to happen in the time that I wanted it to happen, and I dropped out. And I dropped out when I got that job and continued working. So when I dropped out, I worked that job for about 9 months before I took on my full stack role I have now. So that's what I would say. So Zuel says, views are lows, videos are just ads, people unsubscribing, average 3K views and 250K channel. Well, Zuel, I don't know. I know for a fact most of that's probably not true because his channel's never been doing better financially, at least. I don't know too much about his views, but and also, I mean, what I would tell myself is that I'm not going to be happy going down that route, and I wasn't. And I'm a much happier person in the last 2 years or so than I was ever in school. I hated it. I hated every minute of it. I would actually probably, if I was 18, one thing I regret not doing is, and this may sound kind of crazy as someone who has no experience in this, and it's kind of, and this is, I would have loved to experience the military because I think you come out a changed individual, and I don't know how I would have changed, but that would be one thing that perhaps I would be interested in at that time of doing, to see what sort of man I would be if that was my life. But I don't know. I don't know. When I was 18, I come from a family that doesn't necessarily, no one in my family has ever been in the military. Hey, what's going on, Josh? Yeah, Matt. So Matt is, I can agree that Matt definitely doesn't like the criticism that he gets. Didn't you say I get a degree given the opportunity? I'm talking about now, Code Emporium, in the past tense. And the only reason I'm even thinking about it now is because I already have units completed. But that's the advice. A waste of time in terms of, for me, man. That's the thing, is it's a waste of time in terms for me. For some people, they need that traditional path. They don't have the ability to go the self-taught route in the beginning, and that's okay. Not everybody does, and I can't even say that I did, because I was in school, right? So maybe that means I don't have it either, and I had to gain it through just pure misery. So I don't think I'm contradicting myself when I'm saying that I would get a degree now because I already have units completed if somebody else would pay for it. But if I was 19, knowing what I would know now, I would never do it. Do you have any pointer for someone who's living in third world who doesn't have a CS degree? How can I tap into the market with only free CodeCamp and MDN? Project, start your own business. I can't really speak to a third world country because I mean that's not something I've ever partaked in, I guess. Who is Matt's competition? I can't think of other career-based channels. I don't know either. How do you deal with doubts when you are learning a new language / framework? Well, I can tell you how I'm dealing with it right now, because I have been trying to learn React and I've been struggling, and I have been trying to learn Angular 4 and I've been struggling. And what I'm doing right now is I'm enrolling in the React.js Udacity Nanodegree program to learn React. I'm committing 4 months of my time and energy to knocking out the program, building some projects, and finding it. So that, I mean, that's how I'm doing it at this time. Can you add me on Facebook? Sure. As long as you don't do any weird stuff, man. Or ask me questions all the time. There's a Facebook group for that. You guys wouldn't believe some of the shit people talk to me about. You know, they so well, free code can't be enough to get a front end job. It was for me, but I used other, you know, free resources like YouTube as well. But it also means that you have to be an interesting candidate. It means that you have to build projects, learn frameworks, keep moving forward, man. Yeah. My email? Sure, man. Y'all gonna miss me when these bad boys are gone? How many months left on the braces? Let's see. I think probably it was 10 months in total I had to have them, and I think we're probably 5 in, maybe 4 in, so somewhere maybe 5 to 6 months. Have I ever thought of machine learning? No. Or AI? No. Did you go through CTCI? No. I don't know what that is. For me, Akongbe, my thing is I like web development because I could build things of my own if I wanted to. I work at work PHP and Cakes PHP, and at home I work in Node. Have you seen the YouTube video of the 14-year-old coding project? I don't need to feel worse about myself, man. I don't need to watch that. The 14-year-old that stumps you, dude. Oh man. I don't need that in my life. How come you only need them for 10 months? It's usually longer. I've had braces in the past. And what happened was I didn't wear my retainers, and over the years my teeth shifted. So I'm getting them a second time, or I got them a second time, I should say. But that's why. It'll be nice to have them off. I don't really notice that I have them on, except when I go in and tighten them. And then it hurts like hell for a day or two. I appreciate you guys letting me vent, man. I don't normally try to vent, but I thought this was something that maybe I could share with you guys that's going on in my head, and it was relatable enough to coding that we could talk about it, because I would imagine there's a couple people in chat and on the channel who are probably thinking about similar things, and you know, it's for me what ends up happening is I can't do nothing. If I do nothing, the worry gets worse, the anxiety gets worse, the depression gets worse, start feeling bad about myself. So instead of doing nothing, and I know this about myself, I do something. And what I can say is that no matter what choice I do, as long as I'm stepping forward towards something that's going to help, even if it's a little or a lot, it helps me handle the situation. And so I generate a game plan, and I begin to execute the game plan. But that's where I'm at, man. It's yeah, I don't know. But that's what's going on with me. What's going on with you guys? I'm telling you, man, like I feel stressed out. Stressed out just thinking about the stuff. So how to sleep less? I sleep at least 20 out of 24 hours. Any suggestions? You need to go to the doctor if you're sleeping 20 hours, man. I'm going to start the full stack development course in Udacity soon. What are your thoughts about it? So I recently did some I did some research about Udacity, and their full stack program seems a little flawed from what a lot of people are saying. 1 second. Someone brought up something. So Joshua Jarek says, do you think that in the year 2020, there will still be a great number of coding positions not filled, that there are so many coding online resources teaching you code? Yes, because even though it's just like exercise, even though you know you should do it, doesn't mean you will. And let me show you something real quick, guys. I want to show you something that I'm going to share with you guys right now. This is the job. This is Indeed 2017 jobs, the best jobs that you can have. Number 1, full stack developer. In between 2013 to 2016, let's zoom in a little bit, there was 122% growth with an average base salary of 110. Number 2 was data science, 108% growth, average of 130,000 jobs. All right, continue on. Development, Salesforce. You'll see everything on here except about 3 has something to do with technology, has something to do with software. So when you say, hey, do you think that, given 6 years from now, we're going to have there's going to be a jobs? Yes, 100%, because other than perhaps nursing, which is number 20, and we all know how everyone thinks nursing is the best profession on earth, or one of the best. It's number 20, and the other 10 above it are engineering, IT engineering rather, development, or tech. This is the 2017 based off of actual job postings on Indeed. So I understand being worried about it, but just because everybody, at least I think everybody knows you should go into tech and software for the most part. If you are just looking for a solid profession that makes good money and that there will be in-demand jobs, there's not many other choices that will provide you a better situation, is what I'm trying to say. I started swimming recently, Andy. That helped a lot yesterday. I'm trying to exercise more. I just have I think I have a fracture in my hand. I'm getting it checked out in a week or so. If you're applying to a software engineering internship, what should you email the recruiter after submitting an online application? You should just submit a little something about yourself, why you're interested in the spot, why you want to work in the company, and that if there's anything else that you can submit, letters of recommendation, references, or a portfolio, or better yet, submit it with it or a link to it, all of that, if you want to do that. I see a lot of developers struggling. It's a lot of contradiction between people saying there's lots of dev jobs, but lots of people are out of work or with crappy jobs. I think what you're seeing a lot of the times are shitty developers that are very vocal. It's kind of like politics to a degree. You have about 20% of the people, 10 on each side, who are very loud and very adamant, while the other 80% are just living their life and letting the two scream at each other. That's how I see politics. I think the same is in the situation you're talking about. I'm in a predicament as well. Not pretty much finished my bio degree. Not sure if you want to continue, if I want to continue on the med track or to go down the self-taught route. What I can say is I would say that for you, for anybody, like let's take you out of a situation, is if you already think that you're going to be unhappy in the job that you're getting your degree in, you need to perhaps think about, because I'll tell you what sucks. What sucks is just selecting a job, right? What sucks is just working a job for a check, and that's going to get old real quick. You might be able to do that for 3 or 4 years, but you're going to be miserable and unhappy. And so if you're happy going down a self-taught route, if you're happy learning software, even if it's going to set you back a year or two in your career, and it very well might, right? I think long-term it'll probably be what's best for you. Am I stressed because your job is not finished with the project, or is there more expectations? No, we're only about a third of the way through our project. So our map, our roadmap, if you will, for our project goes all the way till the end of this year. So we just basically got to the 1/3 point. And Eichenberg says, I remember 3 years ago when people were saying petroleum engineer was one of the best and highest paid careers. I don't think Engineer Truth was saying that. I don't know anyone who wants to be in tech where I live. That's okay, though. But, like, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, man. Like, if I wasn't in software, let's talk about this right now. If I wasn't in software and I wasn't in tech, me not having a college degree would be a huge disadvantage. But because we're talking about hard skills, because we're talking about high salaries that go with those hard skills, and because we're talking about a limited amount of developers for a lot of positions, there's a lot of developers jobs that do not ever get filled because there's not enough in the skill set, in the years of experience to fill it. I'd probably be screwed if I wanted to be an English teacher. I don't know, whatever people fucking do that is in software. I have no idea, right? But because of the field, I don't have to necessarily always worry about that, even though I do worry. Do you think that when people are trying to get a technology or programming job with a company that try to Google the interviewer with too much technical jargon that is a turnoff to employers? I have no idea. I would say that that you should have no issue on your resume listing your technical achievements and your technical skills, but you do need to be somewhat of a human. Well, Matt started his degree, or started his channel rather, in about 5 years ago. So it very well could be that and by the way, STEM degrees are still one of the best to get. It just happens that a lot of degrees suck in general. And that's starting to suck into the STEM degrees because there's not as many new jobs being created. But there still is high pay. It's just harder to get your foot in the door. And those are fields that you must have a degree in 90% of the time. Oh, let me get some iced tea, guys. I'll be right back. Happy 4th of July, by the way. I know we're early, but happy 4th. Oh, man. Whew. How's everybody doing, man? I don't know if he was fired or technically encouraged to quit. For Matt. Matt, from what I understand with Matt, and Matt and I talk all the time, but we don't really dive into that stuff because it's so long ago. But he just hated it, man. He absolutely hated it. And if you're one of those people that hates your job, you're not going to excel at it. So he hated it, man. He really did. And that's why I'm suggesting, like, hey, if you already hate biology, don't do it to yourself, man. Is a BA, not a BS in computer science, worth it? I didn't even know there was such a thing as a BA in computer science. What stops you from applying job app to Google, Facebook, etc.? I probably don't have the skill set quite yet to work at such a thing, to be honest with you. I mean, would I like to work at Google and Facebook? Of course I would. Who wouldn't, right? Who wouldn't want to work at one of the premier tech companies of the world, right? The Googles, the Facebooks, the PayPal. I guess PayPal doesn't really count. But you know what I'm talking about. Big name companies, right? I would love to do that. But I don't have enough experience to probably qualify or to beat out these super genius master program kids. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, Jason Lloyd does bring up a good point, is that you have to study for like a year to pass the Amazon interview and so on and so forth. What was my skill set when I got my current job? I could do AngularJS, jQuery, JavaScript, HTML, CSS. That's basically it. I mean, I was a front-end developer when I started my job. That would be how I would describe myself. Oh, man. Happy Independence Day. Oh, man. Oh, man. So what do you guys think about my decision of enrolling into the React JS Nanodegree program, and then essentially my plan is to enroll in that and then figure it out later? Ever thought about doing Khan Academy style videos like with algorithms? I am doing algorithms, breaking them down piece by piece from code fights. Those are coming out. What's the average per hour salary of someone new junior developer without experience? It would depend. Are you a front end or a full stack developer, or back end for that matter? It depends, but it depends where you live also. If you're living in New York or like Silicon Valley, it could be much higher. I've gotten recruiters that have asked me about positions in San Francisco, and I want $30,000 more to go because of the amount of money it would cost me to live in San Francisco and California taxes. So you definitely get a higher salary there. You're surprised I'm not interested in machine learning? I am interested in backend. What do I think about React Native? I'm very excited to learn React Native. One thing I want to do is build a couple Android and iOS applications, but I've never really had the time to fully dive back into Java other than the coursework I had in college. And I basically have to relearn all that. And then I have to learn the Android iOS framework. So I'm very excited to learn React Native for that exact point. And I have a couple small I want to create a video documentation site for the things that I like learning and go from there. And maybe I'll make an app that goes with it. Are most of my coworkers self-taught? No. Most of the people I work with have CS degrees. My boss and my main coworker has a CS degree, and the intern I work with has is pursuing a CS degree as well. Those are the three main people I work with on the project. What Craigslist section did I use to get jobs? The gig section for the most part. Also, one of the reasons I want to start studying React now and I'm executing this plan is you guys have heard me say time and time again that at 1 year at your job, put yourself in a situation where if you don't get a raise or if you don't get a fair raise in software development, to leave. But to do that, you need to be prepared to leave, and you need to have value. Study those algorithms, gain those skills that are in demand, all those sorts of things. So you may say $500 for the nanotech degree, yes, but if I leave for a $10,000 raise, I just made $9,500. You think degrees important in the long term? I think that there's an argument to be made for it. That's for sure. But this is another thing that comes to mind. Is my parents are getting older, right? My parents are getting older, and my father has been very responsible with his money. He'll be okay. He did very well for himself. He saved a lot. He invested. My mother is the opposite. She's a nurse. She has debt though, and she's getting older, and she's going to have to retire eventually. And I don't think she's going to retire when she wants to. I think she's going to retire when she quite literally can't work anymore. My brother and I are the two children in the family, and my brother is traveling Chile. He just got back from traveling for 10 months. He has a degree in uselessness, and he has a degree. It's not actually uselessness. I forget what it is. But he has a degree. He is kind of a hippie. He lives in Portland, Oregon. That's why he saved up all his money through college, and he traveled for 10 months, and he's back home in the Los Angeles area for now. And he is he's coming down here with my mom. They're visiting in a couple of weeks. And from there, what's going to happen is he's going to stay for about a week, and then he's going to fly to Peru, and he's going to travel South America for 6 months until he runs out of money. Why am I saying all this? Well, one of the very real things that's coming up is I am fairly convinced that I will have to take care of my mother financially in about 5 to 10 years, depending on how she ages. Maybe 15. My brother won't be in a situation financially that he can contribute. Not for a while. His last job was working he graduated and he worked for AmeriCorps for a year, making below minimum wage. He doesn't have any hard skills, and it's going to be hard for him when he gets back. It's not going to be impossible. It's going to be hard. And I don't see an instance in where he makes enough money to help. So that's another thing that stressed me out is I essentially will have to be the head of the household, right? You got, and this may sound a little weird thinking about this, but knowing my mother's finances in somewhat detail, her pension and Social Security won't really be enough for her to live a good life. So I need to figure out how I can make more money so that I can help her. Which is why I've been racking my brain lately and just going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Will my father help? My mother. Maybe I didn't make it clear. My mother and father have been divorced for 20 years. Like, my father remarried when I was 3. My dad remarried when I was 3, and so they are separated. Long time. Not a dollar going towards my mom. So I have to prepare for that. Because I mean that's your mom, right? What are you gonna do? You're not gonna just not help. You're not gonna say sorry, Mom. You know, I didn't work hard enough to be able to help. I'm sorry I'm sorry I took it easy the last 5 years. So, I mean, this isn't something that's going to happen soon, but on the worst end, 5 years, on the best end, probably 15, right? My mom's 60 plus. So I have my younger brother I got no problem with my brother living out his dream and going down his path. I'm a big believer in everyone take the path that is right for you. Take it. Don't get pigeonholed into whatever you think society and life is telling you to do. So he has taken a path that is, hey, he's going to see the world the next 2 years instead of working, and then he's going to go back and work probably a low-paying job. My mom doesn't own a house now. My mom, as I discussed, she's not good with her finances. She has credit card debt. I don't know what's going on with her. She's just not one of those people, man. So so I know this, and I could tell you right now that I could probably make the same amount of money that I make now and be just fine for the rest of my life. My brother's 2 years younger than me. He's 27 years old. He'll be 28. He'll be 28 in October. No, he has no plans going back to school that I'm aware of. He might go to a coding boot camp because he's pretty practical. He already has a degree. He doesn't need to go back to get one. But the point I'm saying is he doesn't have a degree in anything that's going to make him any money. He doesn't have any experience or hard skills that's going to make him any money. And I don't know how that's going to turn out. And his whole game plan is to travel for the next 6 months, come back, get some jobs, save up again, and then travel again. Which is fine, but it's not. It is not. It's not a successful plan to make the money and go about it. So knowing that, I mean, I've talked to him about it, and he has suggested that like our aunt will take care of Mom, and my aunt's getting up there too, and she don't want to do that shit. She's got her husband and her family and shit, and I'm not trying to put that on her. So now we have to be the grasshopper, man. We got to save, we got to plan, we got to invest in ourselves. But that's what's kind of brought this all upon me. It's just kind of the realization of your parents getting older and not going to be able to work too much longer, and all that stuff, man. So I know that got a little deep there for a second, but I mean that's really where all this stress comes from, man. When did you start coding, and what was your first dev job? My first official full stack role is the one I currently have, which I've been working about 9+ months. I started coding about 4-5 years ago when I started doing coursework in software. What did I do before web dev? The only relevant job I really had before my web dev was I worked as a technology trainer at my previous job. 1 second, guys. Hello? Happy early Independence Day. Yeah, sure. I mean, if it's a year contract, I would be open to it. Mm-hmm. All right. Happy 4th of July. Thank you. Bye. This is the nicest recruiter I've ever dealt with, by the way. So, if you guys think I'm bullshitting you about recruiters calling all the time, how often do I stream and get a call from a recruiter, man? Anyhow, that was a recruiter who I've no issue in taking and saying I accept phone calls from recruiters. I'm not. They call me, man. What do you want me to do? But yeah. So nice. Called, wish me a happy 4th of July. Asked if I was still interested in potential roles. If she came across anything, I said, yeah. Hit me up, whatever you got, and we'll take a look. So sorry, let's see. I missed some stuff. I finished my boot camp recently. That means I have a unique viewpoint, and you should give me an interview. All right, shoot me an email. Dylan's email 310@gmail.com. Are coding boot camps worth it if you're willing to put in the prep work before and you're willing to put in 80-hour weeks and be in the top 10%? You can excel at a coding boot camp. I personally think I would do a great job. So I forgot what we were talking about, man. I think I was getting kind of emotional talking about my mom. Do recruiters send you gifts like they do in Silicon Valley? It depends on the recruiter, but not like that, no. The only gift you may get from a recruiter is a hiring bonus. So sometimes a lot of these recruiting agencies, if you actually accept a job, they'll give you $3,000 to $4,000 or like $1,000, $1,500 bonus for taking the job. Mind you, they're getting like 10 grand. Am I still doing React? Yes. So we were talking about this earlier. I'm enrolling in the Udacity Nanodegree React program to get those skills in order and build those up. So yes, I will be learning React through their program. I emailed them yesterday asking if they would let me enroll in for free. If they say yes, great. I'll make some videos in exchange for that. If they say no, I will just purchase the program outright. But I am 100% learning React, React Redux, and React Native moving forward. Oh, man. I wonder why this was one of the more controversial streams, man. What about React through Stephen Grinder? My only issue with that, and by the way, I have no issue with Stephen Grinder because he's actually given me a copy of every one of his course for free to give to you specifically. So we will be giving it. So he's a real cool dude. So I have a copy of all Stephen Grinder's courses that I'll be giving to you guys, and I can probably get one for myself if I wanted to. I just want to go through a Nanodegree program, and I want to have that on the resume, and I want to partake in the program. I want a more structured environment for this. Here's the thing, guys. I'm tired, man. I've been going for every day on my own for the last year and a half. Last year and a half, I've been blazing my own trail to the best of my ability. I haven't bought a single course on Udacity. I haven't bought a single course on Udemy. I've never bought a course a day in my life. Not fucking one. Never bought it. I've had free ones. I've had courses given to me. I've never bought one. I've never gone through one. And I'm tired, man. So this will be my first dive into a program This will be my first. Let me see what I can. Let me see the Nanodegree system. Let me give you guys the correct feedback. What did I learn? What did I get out of it? Was it worth my money? Is it worth your money? I'm tired, man. I got high blood pressure now. I can't be doing this shit. So here we are, man. Just once, I just want to follow. I don't want to lead, man. I just want to follow this time. I'm tired. I'm going to follow. And I hope that the Udacity React Nanodegree program is a good leader, man. I just got to follow this one time. So here we are, man. Here we are. I mean, I don't know if that makes me less of a person to want to follow. Instead, lead this one time. But I think I need it. And I'm okay accepting the help, so. Data science is big, man. Data science. Data scientist, #2 job on Indeed. 108% job growth in 3 years. So no, don't feel bad when I'm saying I'm tired. I don't know, man. You guys understand the grind, man. I've been grinding. Some of you guys think I'm bullshitting, but I've been grinding every day in every way that I know how, and I'm gonna grind in a slightly easier way this time, man. At least I hope it's slightly easier. But I mean, that's where I'm at, man. I feel like I'm 80% done with the free code camp cert, but I feel like I know nothing. Is this normal? No. Did you cheat? Did you copy videos? Or did you struggle through it and build it from scratch, Victor Lasan? Because if you built it from scratch and you didn't cheat and copy videos, you would realize that you know a lot, man. But you got to struggle through it, man. That's the truth of the matter. If you just copy code and you didn't fully understand it and you didn't build it from scratch, I'd be very surprised if you felt like you learned nothing. But if that's the case, and it can be, you should start first. You probably need to solve some algorithms. Go to codefights.com. Go to HackerRank. Go to Code Wars. All these sites, and study algorithms every day. Start getting better with those functions. Start thinking more like a developer. Follow code that was taught on the video, but I didn't rip. Did you try to do it beforehand? Did you try? All right, Victor, listen. This would be my advice to you. Is every project you've already written, go and delete all that code right now. Delete every little bit of that fucking code. Don't fucking go on YouTube and then go and rework it. Because if you did it, you should be able to do it again in about 1/3 of the time. You gotta. So that would be my advice, man. Because even the way you say, I followed the code that was taught on the video, but I didn't rip it off. The basic algorithms are hard as fuck. It's hard getting started in algorithms, man. That's the truth of the matter. So Algorithms suck, man. Everyone hates them. Look at that cats. See the cats? Are they so cute, man? Don't you guys wish you had an orange and black cat and a striped one? I got a lot of cats. Whew. All right, man. I think I'm gonna leave you guys. I appreciate you guys all for watching, man. We answered some questions. We talked a little bit about where my mind is and where I'm going, what concerns me in my life. You know, whether that be making more money so that you can support your family down the road. Or just wanting to live a better life. That's where I'm at, man. So all right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And I know we did this 22K early subscriber video. And I know some of you, and I've had this said to me before, and it happens quite often. Some people tell you, hey, man, what's your problem, man? You're a white guy. Everything's great for you, right? And look, man, everyone's just trying to do better. I'm just trying to do better. The world's fucked up out there. The last thing we need to do is start bringing racial identities into it. And I've had that happen. It hasn't happened this stream, but I've had it happen the last two. And so what I want to say, man, is let's all just look at people like people. Let's start there. And I just wish everyone works hard. Everything works out for you. I'm trying to make sure that shit works out for me. And by most people's standards, financially, I make more than the average family in America. The average family in America makes $55,000. I make more than that. But does anybody here want to be average? Does anybody here want to... Average person can't pay for his mom. Average person might be able to let their mom live on the couch with them and their family. Average person doesn't own a house. Average person doesn't have health insurance. The average person can't help others when they need help because they can barely help themselves. The average person can't pay for their children to enroll in sports. The average person can't pay to get organic food or whatever food you value. The average person doesn't get to have a nice retirement. The average person doesn't get to have an office that they can do their YouTube channel in. The average person can't give the woman they love a proper wedding. The woman that they cherish and dream about can't give the woman that makes them happiest, the woman who told them that, hey, you know what? As you were there feeling shitty about yourself, as life in your mind was falling apart, and all you needed was one more person to tell you that, you know what, man? You're a loser, and that would have crumbled your apart. That woman that came to you and said, you know what, baby? I love you. You're going to do it. I have faith in you. You're trying your hardest, and I know you can get there. The average person can't give that woman that they love, or man, the type of life that they deserve for that. So my point is this. So I don't strive to be average. And you shouldn't either. Because the average person has a fucked up life. I'm not trying to be average. And that doesn't mean I have any problem with someone being average. It's just I've been poor. I've been okay. Okay and up is better. I can help people when I'm not average. I can buy food when I'm not average. God knows you don't want to be below average. Shit's fucked up out there. The average person has. Do you know something? Do you know 1/3 of the population didn't take a single PTO day in the last year? 1 in 3 people didn't take a single day off last year in America. That's average. You're getting work to the fucking bone. That's average. The average person right there. The average person might get 3 days PTO because the law says that they can't give you less in some states. Sometimes you get none. I mean, how hard do we all have to grind, man, to be there? It's hard. It's hard. It's tiring. But if you do go that extra mile, if you do work, you'll get there. Do you know one of the saddest moments of my life? Yeah. Oh, and by the way, thank you, Neil Floyd. The average person in America has something like $60,000 in debt. The average student has $40,000 in debt graduating in 2017. 37. That's the average right there. The average student will probably graduate with a job that pays $50,000 if they're lucky. It's all fucked up. Saddest moment of my life. One of the saddest. You guys know me a little bit, right? I've been on here for 2 years now. In a recent year or so, I've been putting myself on more camera, telling you a little bit more about my life. Why am I talking about being average if you don't want to be average? Because you have to know what it is you don't want to be so that you don't become it. Because it's easy to fall into those pitfalls of everybody else does it, why don't I? That's why. You have to be very aware of what you don't want to become, because the average is an average for a reason. It's what's socially acceptable and what it's okay. And if you're okay with it, your choices will change once you're okay with it. My cat. You guys know me. I'm an introvert to a degree. I'm out here on a public forum, but I'm also on the internet, right? I've met a couple people. I've met probably about 5 to 6 subscribers in my lifetime. I don't have bad communication skills. I just don't necessarily talk to strangers all that often in person. When I go places, I'm kind of awkward. I used to be much I used to be much worse than I am now. I, especially as a child, I was always shy. I was always awkward. But I always had my cat baby. You guys never saw baby because she died before I started doing YouTube. She died. As you know, I have 3 cats. I've always connected very well. I talk with my cats all the time. By the way, come home, say hello, and it comes from me talking to my cat as a young youth and just enjoying it because I was too awkward to interact with other people. Um, but I was going down the traditional path, the computer science, the college path. April and I were April, myself, and her youngest sister we took in were living in a very small 1-bedroom apartment. April and I had the living room, and we gave the bedroom to her sister. At that time, we had 2 cats, Milo. Excuse me. We had Milo, and we had my cat Baby. Baby was 19 at that time, and I love my cat to death. I still do. But one of the things that finally got me to kick my life into gear was when my cat passed away. Now, she was old. 19 is pretty old for a cat. It's just a matter of time. But I was very upset with myself that we couldn't afford to get her to essentially get her medicine. So she died. And that was one of 2 or 3 moments in which I was disgusted with myself, in which I had to change the way that I saw life. And I wasn't in any situation that probably wasn't better or worse than most college students. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a study recently in which 1 in 5 community college students, for that matter, are homeless. They're actually going to school and living in their car or couch surfing or something like that. They don't actually have a bedroom. They don't have a home they go to. So I was probably better off than most, at least better than that 20%. But, here you are. Probably the person, I'll call my cat a person, one of the people in your life that you care about the most, you can't afford the medicine they want, or you can't at least put them out of their misery because you don't have money for groceries, so they suffer. And I was probably too immature at the time to fully realize what was going on, and maybe a bit in denial that my cat was dying. But it's times like those that I look back, and as an adult, and someone who's probably matured a lot in the last 4 years of their life or so, I think back about how I don't ever want to be in a situation like that again. And part of that is thinking about what I don't want to be. And so when you say, if if you don't want to be average, why don't you want to talk about being average? It's because I've been there. Like, I understand what I don't want to be. And I understand what I can be. You know, I understand what the world is very black and white in what works and what doesn't work sometimes. Now, the path to that black and white is your own, but I think most people can agree that in order for you to live a comfortable life, you have to have money, for the most part. It's a general rule. There's no absolutes in this world. You have to have money. You have to have, and that money pays for simple things like food, shelter, housing, health insurance. You know, as we get older, we need health insurance. Just little things, man. So when you're joking, you know, if Tai Lopez was here, why is this guy talking about himself so much? It's not that I enjoy talking about myself, but, and you're probably just a little bit of a younger guy and can't appreciate that somebody's opening up to you about the experiences that maybe scarred him when he was younger, when he was your age, and the decisions that the things that changed him for the better, but still hurt in the process, so that maybe when you have that moment in your life, you don't need to get that scar, and you could say, you know what, let me think a second about the choices I'm making and the direction I want to be. Because where do you want to be when you're 30? When you're 25, are you thinking about that? Are you thinking 2 years ahead? Or are you just kind of living life? There's something wrong with that. Just understand that there's going to be consequences. So here I am, about to turn 30. Better off than probably most. Above average career. Got a cool YouTube channel. That's fun. Got a girlfriend who loves me. Could have had all this 5 years ago. And then some, right? I could not have to be worrying about taking care of my mom 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. About helping my brother out, whether he wants it or not, when he gets back from spending all his money traveling in Puerto Rico. I just want to be in a situation to do that, man. So that is why I'm talking about myself. Other than the fact that it's my fucking channel, I'll do whatever the fuck I want, but that is why. Anyhow, guys, I'm going to go spend some time with my cats. I'm going to cook the woman that I love dinner. I'm going to go swim some laps because I've made a commitment to focusing on my health. I am going to continue moving forward one step closer every day, as I hope you all are. I hope that whatever your dreams are, you achieve them sooner than later. Is April stopping to learn code? No, she's not. She's still studying it, but she's also working on some project management certificates rather. So she's trying to transition into project management, which will be a great thing for her. I think she'll have a better success getting that. So she's obtaining some degrees in project management through itpro.tv. And then she's also going to be learning code on the side of that. That is what April is doing. But all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to join our Facebook group, Code Tech and Caffeine. Discord channels there as well. Stay motivated, guys. It's a grind out there. It's okay to be tired as long as you get up the next day and you keep going. I'm tired today. It's all right. If you're tired, it's all right. Just keep moving forward, man. See you guys next time.